In my family, milestones were ranked on a sliding scale of convenience. If it was Daniel's birthday, we cleared the calendar. If Aunt Teresa had a candle-making workshop at the community center, we brought snacks. But if I, God forbid, graduated from a 4-year university after working 3 jobs to do it? That's really far, sweetie. Maybe we can do a dinner later. Yep. That was the text. No punctuation. No. We're so proud. Just the casual. That's far. Like I was inviting them to a garage sale in another time zone. Let me back up. I'm Evan Mitchell. Oldest kid. First in the family to graduate college. Also, first to not be named after a biblical figure, so maybe that was strike one. I grew up in a very politely indifferent household. Not abusive, not dramatic, just this quiet, gnawing favoritism that you don't really notice until your little cousin's glitter glue diorama gets more applause than your college acceptance letter. My parents, Marlene and Greg, are what I'd call emotionally decorative. They looked like parents in holiday cards. They posed well, bought presents, made Pinterest-level mashed potatoes. But when it came to the emotional meat and potatoes? Yeah, those were always undercooked. They loved my cousin Braden. Oh man. That kid could breathe and they'd send out a group text. Braden learned to tie his shoes. Party popper, so gifted. I tied mine, like 20 years ago. Nobody clapped. To be fair, Braden's parents, my mom's sister and her walking wallet of a husband, lived in a town called Fairgrove. It was 5 hours away. And somehow, every school play, every science fair, every vaguely artistic sketch Braden ever made was worth the drive. Me? I went to a public university 90 minutes from home. 90. That's including a stop at the world's most unnecessary antique mall, which they somehow always found time for when they were just in the area. I'd invited them months in advance. Sent the RSVP email. Printed an extra parking pass. Highlighted directions. I even offered to buy their gas. My dad replied, "That's a bit of a trek, kiddo. We'll catch the photos afterward, though." Photos. Like my entire college education was just a selfie opportunity. The day of my graduation, I wore a $43 rented gown that smelled like someone else's Triumph. I sat in the third row of a crowd full of kids hugging parents, grandparents, even random neighbors with homemade signs. I looked into the crowd, hoping maybe, just maybe, they changed their minds. They didn't. I walked the stage alone. Waved at no one. Got my diploma and walked off stage straight into the world of, "We're proud of you, but not proud enough to pay tolls." I didn't cry. Not during the ceremony, not when I returned my gown to a bored student worker who handed me a wrinkled receipt and a, "Congrats, bro." No, I cried later. Sitting on the edge of my twin bed in a half-furnished apartment with a broken toaster and an air mattress for a couch. That's when it hit. Not the accomplishment, but the silence. You know that kind of silence? Where your phone should be buzzing. Where you should be saying, "They made it!" and hugging someone who smells like your childhood? Yeah. Nothing. My roommate, Kyle, tried to cheer me up with a 6-pack and a very offensive homemade cake that said, "Suck it, tuition." It helped. Kind of. But I couldn't shake it. Not even when the group family chat lit up a week later. "Mom, Braden's talent show tomorrow. He's doing a monologue." Blue heart. Talent. Show. 5 hours away. And there it was. Them in the front row, smiling like they were front row at Hamilton. Dad in a collared shirt. Mom with her phone tilted at the perfect angle. Braden on stage, dressed like a mini Wall Street intern, performing a one-man dramatic reading of something called The Upside of Rain. And they drove 5 hours for that. Meanwhile, my diploma? Still sealed. Still sitting on a dusty shelf next to a candle I never lit. That night, I stared at their Instagram story with the kind of fury that's too tired to yell. That's when something shifted. But not toward revenge. Not yet. First, I needed a plan. And to make a plan? I needed options. The week after graduation felt like standing still while everyone else got flowers. No calls, no cake, not even a card. Just me, a wrinkled diploma, and the echo of my parents' absence. I'd expected some reaction, a photo comment, a voicemail, maybe even a "We're so proud of you" text. But nope. The only family update I got was a photo from Aunt Lisa of Brayden holding a glitter-covered certificate for Best Stage Presence. He was standing on a tiny auditorium stage next to a cardboard tree. The caption? "So proud of our little star. Yellow heart, hashtag drive for the ones you love." That hashtag. Like they were subtly bragging about what they do for the people they care about. I stared at the photo, scrolling back and forth between it and the one of me in my graduation gown, the one I had to ask a stranger to take in front of a brick wall. Not gonna lie, it stung. 3 days later, Mom called. Her voice was breezy, like nothing was weird. "Hey, sweetheart. I saw on Facebook you graduated. Sorry we couldn't make it, the car's been acting up." That same car they used to drive 5 hours for Brayden's monologue? Got it. Then she added, like it was casual. "Anyway, we're throwing a little barbecue this weekend. To celebrate Brayden. He's been under a lot of pressure." I blinked. "Right. Because memorizing a poem really takes it out of you." She laughed, tight, nervous. "Don't be bitter, Evan. You know Brayden's gifted." That line? I'd heard it my whole life. Brayden was gifted. I was a hard worker. He colored inside the lines? Artistic genius. I won a statewide essay contest? Well, you always were a tryhard. I ended the call quickly, before the tightness in my throat showed up in my voice. The rest of the week, I threw myself into job applications. I'd already picked up part-time shifts at a hardware store, helping retirees find drill bits and pretending I didn't have student loans the size of a small car. One day, a guy buying lumber looked me up and down and said, "You're sharp. You wasted on this job?" I gave him the usual, "just temporary," shrug. He handed me a card. "I run a local supply company. If you want something real, give me a call. You don't talk like a spreadsheet." Weirdest compliment I've ever gotten. But I pocketed the card. That night, I ate leftover pasta on the edge of my bed and thought about what he said. Wasted? Maybe. Or maybe just overlooked. So often that I'd gotten good at pretending I liked the shadows. The next morning, I opened Instagram. Another Brayden post. This time, a video of him doing a one-man act about recycling while my parents clapped like they were watching Shakespeare reincarnated. It had over 200 likes. I'd gotten 14 on my grad photo. And that was the moment something inside me flipped. Not rage. Not bitterness. Just clarity. I was done trying to make them see me. Done being polite when they steamrolled my milestones with Brayden's 5th grade victories. No big confrontation. No teary phone call. I didn't want revenge. I wanted something better. Proof. But to get it, I'd need to change a few things first. The first Monday after that Instagram trauma, I called the number on the business card. Didn't think much would come of it. Maybe a polite voicemail. Maybe a "We're not hiring right now" brush off. Instead, I got, "Mitchell? Come in tomorrow. Wear real shoes." And just like that, I had a new job. It was at a regional supply chain logistics company. Not glamorous, not flashy. But it had benefits. A desk. A coffee machine that didn't taste like burnt tires. And people who shook my hand instead of calling me the helper. I started in inventory control. Not thrilling, but the pay was solid. More importantly, my supervisor actually said "good work" out loud, which, after years of silence and second-place ribbons, felt like a standing ovation. A few weeks in, I got promoted to team lead. That's when I knew I was onto something. And the weirdest part? My parents still hadn't asked what I was doing. No. "How's the job?" Or, "Did you find something yet?" They assumed I was still at the hardware store, probably sweeping aisles and sulking. Brayden, meanwhile, had apparently been cast as a tree in some youth production of Into the Woods. They made a whole post about it. "Even as a tree, he commands presence, deciduous tree sparkles." Presence. This kid stood still in brown sweatpants and got more applause than my actual degree. I tried not to check the family group chat anymore, but every now and then my thumb betrayed me. They were planning a beach weekend. I wasn't invited. Not even as a maybe. Apparently, Braden needed a break from the grind. You know, from all the glitter glue and standing still. That night, I sat on my apartment floor, still couchless, still eating out of pans, and tried to make peace with the fact that I'd probably never get that call. That moment where they finally saw me as more than background filler. I didn't get it. But I did get a raise. And a bonus. And for the first time in my life, a little breathing room in my bank account. So I paid off the last chunk of my student loan. Didn't post it online. Didn't text my parents. I just stared at the paid in full confirmation like it was a golden ticket. Meanwhile, Mom called to ask if I still had that old folding table. They needed it for Braden's graduation from Junior Leaders Summer Camp. I said no. She sounded surprised, like I was supposed to just store party equipment for the golden child. Then she asked, and I swear I'm not making this up, "Any chance you could drive it up to Fairgrove anyway?" I laughed. Out loud. Drive it? That's like 5 hours. Her pause was sharp. Well, we always drive for family. I almost dropped the phone. Because there it was. The unspoken rule spoken. They drove for family, and apparently, I'd just been downgraded to distant acquaintance with potential. I ended the call politely. Again. But this time? I didn't feel small. I felt free. I had a job, a paycheck, and for the first time since graduation, a growing sense of control. I wasn't about to throw a tantrum. Nope. I was gonna take my time. Make a plan. Something subtle. Petty maybe, but poetic. And it started with one quiet Google search. Best used cars under $20,000. Not for revenge. Not yet. Just research. The thing about revenge? It works best when no one knows it's happening until it's already over. I wasn't looking for flash. No matte black paint, no spoilers, no neon underglow nonsense. Just something reliable. Smart. Silent. Like me. So, after 3 weekends of test driving everything from 2009 sedans to a very sketchy truck that smelled like hamsters, I found her, a silver 2017 Accord in near mint condition, low mileage, and owned by a guy named Denny who only drove it to church and Trader Joe's. I bought it. In cash. I didn't post about it. Didn't flex. No obnoxious. Hashtag first ride. Photo with a fake grin and car keys held up like an engagement ring. I just drove it home. Parked it in my assigned spot like it had always been there. And the second I shut the door, I felt it. Power. Not the horsepower kind. Not the gas pedal kind. The kind that comes from knowing I could leave whenever I wanted. That I didn't have to ask for a ride, check bus schedules, or coordinate with anyone's availability. And that meant I could do one very important thing. Drive past their house. But not yet. Because I didn't just want a dramatic moment. I wanted the perfect one. And the universe, bless her, delivered. The next weekend, I got a text from cousin Melissa, the only one in my family with a soul. Melissa. They're all at the house today. Post-talent show brunch. Apparently Braden sang a Coldplay medley and Mom cried. Just FYI. Coldplay. This kid sang Yellow off-key and triggered family-wide tears. Meanwhile, I wrote a 46-page honors thesis on sustainable materials and international logistics, and got ghosted harder than an ex after tax season. I looked at the message. Then at my keys. Then back at the message. I didn't reply. I just walked outside, got in my car, and drove. No music. No destination. Just instinct. My parents lived in a neighborhood that tried really hard to look like a gated community but didn't quite commit. Brick mailboxes. Over-trimmed hedges. Everyone's lawn exactly the same shade of artificial green. I hadn't been there since before graduation. As I turned onto their street, my heart kicked up a notch. Not fear. Not anxiety. Just curiosity. Would they be outside? Would someone see me? Would it feel good? I didn't know. Didn't care. I just slowed to a crawl as I passed. And there they were. In the driveway. Dad in his cargo shorts, talking to Braden. Mom holding a paper plate of deviled eggs. Aunt Lisa pointing at something with a mimosa in hand. Braden mid-dramatic pose like he was auditioning for America's Next Top Plant. They didn't see me. Not at first. But as I rolled past, windows down, sunglasses on, one hand on the wheel like every cool guy in every indie movie ever, I caught Mom's face. She squinted. Froze. Tilted her head. I didn't wave. Didn't honk. Just drove. Like I had somewhere better to be. Because I did. Anywhere. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed. Mom, did you just drive past the house? No punctuation. Just panic in Times New Roman. I didn't reply. Another buzz. Dad, is that your car? When did you get a car? Then Melissa. Oh my God! You legend. I pulled into a diner 30 minutes away, ordered the world's greasiest grilled cheese, and grinned at my phone like I'd just scored the winning goal in the World Cup of Petty. Because in their world I was still the struggling one. Still the it's too far kid. Still the background noise to Braden's yellow Solo. But now, I was driving the narrative. Literally. The next day, I got an email. Subject: Let's talk like adults. From Dad. That's how I knew I'd hit a nerve. They ditched the group chat and went full formal, like we were negotiating a ceasefire. Inside it read: Evan, I think there's been some miscommunication between us lately. Your mom and I would like to sit down, in person, and clear the air. There's no judgment, just a desire to reconnect. We miss you. Dad. No mention of graduation. No mention of the car. Just vague phrases like miscommunication and reconnect, the emotional equivalent of trying to patch drywall with whipped cream. I didn't respond. So Mom called. Straight to voicemail. Sweetie, we just want to talk. It's not about Braden. It's not about the brunch. We're sorry if you felt excluded. We didn't realize how important the ceremony was to you. If. That word. So small. So weaponized. If I felt excluded. If it meant something. As if 4 years, 3 jobs, and a $48,000 loan were just a side quest in Braden's main character arc. I deleted the voicemail without flinching. That night, I made the classic mistake, opened Instagram. Natalie, sorry. Braden's mom, had posted a photo carousel titled, Healing Happens Here. Slide 1, a group family hug. Slide 2, Braden smiling beside a piano. Slide 3, a blurry shot of me at age 11, holding a good job ribbon and looking vaguely haunted. Caption: Family is everything. Even when they forget that sometimes. Folded hands, blue heart. Comment section? An echo chamber of performative concern. Aunt Lisa. Such a beautiful message, honey. Uncle Paul. Real families work through it. Together. Random yoga friend. Been there. Sending healing energy. Dizzy. I didn't even roll my eyes. I just smirked. Because I finally saw it. They weren't reaching out because they missed me. They were reaching out because I ruined the story. I wasn't the grateful, quiet one anymore. The one who swept floors and nodded politely while Braden got standing ovations for remembering to blink. Now I was unpredictable. Now I had my own narrative. The group chat pinged again, this time from Braden himself. Braden. Yo. Saw the car. Nice. You should have stopped by. Stopped by. As if I just swung through for lemonade and generational trauma. I almost replied with, You still singing Coldplay or have you upgraded to Imagine Dragons? But I didn't. Didn't need to. 2 days later, a letter showed up. Actual mail. Envelope. Stamps. Blue ink. Inside? A handwritten note from Mom. And a gift card. $50 to Olive Garden. The note read, We're proud of you, Evan. We really are. Things have been complicated, but we love you. Come home soon? Dinner on us. Home. That word hit weird. Because I didn't know where that was anymore. It sure wasn't the house that skipped my graduation to watch Braden whisper sing Yellow in khakis. Still, I kept the card. Not for the fettuccine. For the reminder. I taped it to the fridge. Right next to my degree. A little side-by-side gallery of closure. When Kyle saw it, he tilted his head. Wait. They gave you a gift card to Olive Garden? For graduating? I guess they thought endless breadsticks make up for a missing childhood. He nodded. Unlimited carbs. Limited parenting. We laughed harder than we should have. But hey, laughter is healing, right? Or at least cheaper than therapy. The next message didn't come through text or voicemail. It came through Kyle. He met me at the door, phone in hand like it had started leaking. So, your mom called me. I blinked. She what? She found me on Facebook. Said she wasn't sure how else to reach you. Bro, I've spoken to your mom once, and it was at your 20th birthday when she thought I was your Uber driver. He handed me his phone. There it was. Hi Kyle, this is Evan's mother. I'd really appreciate it if you could let him know we've been trying to reach him. We'd love to have him over for dinner. It's been too long. We just want to talk. That last line. We just want to talk. Like this was some sitcom plotline where I'd show up for a casserole, and we'd all laugh about that one time they emotionally abandoned me for a theater kid. I didn't say anything to Kyle. Just nodded and handed his phone back. But my chest? It burned. Not from anger anymore. But from the slow realization that I had never been the priority. Not when it mattered. Not at my middle school award ceremony, where they showed up 30 minutes late because they'd lost track of time at Target. Not on my 16th birthday, when they skipped dinner plans because Dad had a work dinner and Mom didn't want to go alone. And definitely not at graduation. Now they were scrambling, like this was a PR crisis, and I was a rogue employee who'd gone off script. So I gave them a line they could work with. I opened the family group chat. Still muted. Still filled with Braden fanfare. This time he'd been accepted into a pre-college performance intensive, which sounded like a glorified theater camp with better lighting. I scrolled through the compliments, the virtual hugs, the "he's going places" comments. Then I typed a single sentence. Me. I won't be coming to the retirement party. 5 seconds. Typing bubbles. Mom. Why not? We already sent the invite. Dad. This is a family event. We'd like you there. Me. You said it yourself last time. My seat was never reserved. Then silence. A full minute. Then a slow flood. Mom. That's not fair. We've apologized. Dad. Evan, don't do this. And Lisa. Please don't ruin this day for your parents. There it was. I was ruining things again. Not by yelling. Not by lashing out. Just by not participating. Just by refusing to be the family footnote. Melissa messaged me privately. Melissa. They're in damage control mode. You saying no hit harder than any speech ever could. I let that sit for a while. Then I packed a bag. Filled up the tank. And the next day, while the whole family gathered to toast Dad's retirement, I drove. Not anywhere special. Just forward. Past the party. Past the balloons tied to the mailbox. Past the cars lined along the curb like a parade I wasn't invited to. I slowed for a second. Mom was on the porch in her usual pastel cardigan. She spotted the car. Her face changed. Not shock. Not anger. Something else. Recognition. I didn't stop. Didn't wave. Just kept going. Past the place I used to call home. Past the guilt. Past the expectation. I didn't need their party. Didn't need their permission. I had my own road now. And I was finally driving it. When I got home, Kyle was on the couch eating cereal straight from the box. Drive good? He asked. Therapeutic. You do a burnout in front of the mailbox? Tempting. Missed opportunity. We laughed. But yeah, I didn't need a burnout. The quiet was louder. A week after the retirement party, I got a letter. Not a card. Not a text. An actual envelope. Heavy paper. My full name written in cursive like someone was either trying to reconnect or summon me to court. Inside was a 2-page handwritten note from Dad. No gift card this time. Just ink and judgment. Evan. I don't know what's changed in you, but I don't like it. You used to be the level-headed one. The peacemaker. You never craved attention like Braden. You were mature. Steady. Now you're ghosting your family. You didn't come to the retirement party. You're avoiding calls. Acting like we're strangers. What happened to you? That line hit like a passive-aggressive Hallmark card dipped in guilt. What happened to you? As if setting boundaries was a medical emergency. As if saying, no, after 20-something years of nodding politely was some rebellious phase brought on by oat milk and a good therapist. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I went to work. Fixed a broken system dashboard. Helped a panicked coworker present to a client. Ate a turkey sandwich. Laughed at a meme Kyle sent that had no business being that funny. In other words, I lived. Without them. That weekend I visited Melissa. She brewed espresso strong enough to fuel a rocket, and handed me a cookie shaped like a middle finger. Baked it for you, she said. Ah. You shouldn't have. But also never stop. She poured coffee, settled into her chair, and said, they still think you're going through a phase. I laughed. If self-respect is a phase, I hope it's chronic. She smirked, but her tone got softer. They really think you'll fold. And yeah, they probably did. Because I always used to. I always circled back. Always explained myself. That night, Mom sent a photo of a box of my old things, notebooks, participation ribbons, a hoodie I used to live in back when I thought comfort could make up for loneliness. Mom, cleaning the attic. Thought you might want some of your childhood back, Redheart. I stared at it. Your childhood. The same one they didn't show up for half the time. No thanks. But I kept the photo. Like a museum exhibit. Later that night, I sat at my desk and opened a blank document. Started a reply to Dad's letter. Deleted it. Started again. Deleted that one too. It took 5 tries. Because how do you explain that silence isn't rage? That distance isn't a tantrum? That sometimes peace looks like not replying? I thought back to 8th grade, the state's science fair. I placed second. Built a solar-powered irrigation system with duct tape and a $12 Home Depot gift card. They said they were proud. Over voicemail. They hadn't made the drive. Something about a scheduling issue and gas being crazy lately. Now they were shocked I wouldn't show up for them? I wasn't petty. Just tired. So I printed the letter. Just 1 page. Typed. Neat. 0 drama. Dad. Nothing happened to me. I stopped accepting leftovers and calling it love. I'm not angry. I'm not punishing anyone. I just realized showing up for people who never showed up for me isn't noble. It's exhausting. You don't have to agree. But I'm no longer available for guilt disguised as tradition. I folded it and drove across town. Didn't park. Didn't knock. Just rolled past the house like it was a memory I outgrew and slid the envelope into their mailbox. No signature. No return address. Just closure. When I got home, I sat on my balcony, cracked open a soda, and watched the sky burn into soft orange. It wasn't a palace view. But it was mine. And it felt enough. 3 days after I dropped the letter in their mailbox, I got a text from Mom. No greeting. No, we read your letter. No, we understand. Just, if you ever change your mind, you know where we live. Period. It was almost poetic in its stubbornness. Not, we're sorry. Not, we're proud of you. Not, we get it now. Just, you know where we live. Yeah. I knew. I'd memorized that driveway. The doorbell that never worked. The smell of cinnamon candles meant to cover tension. I didn't respond. Because I finally understood something they never could. My life didn't begin when they noticed me. It began when I stopped waiting for them to. I had a job that didn't suck. A title that finally came with benefits and a parking spot. An apartment that didn't smell like sadness and instant ramen. Friends who didn't make me feel like a second option. A calendar that didn't revolve around guilt trips. And a car. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't loud. But it got me places. And driving past their house that day? That wasn't revenge. It was punctuation. A final, quiet period at the end of a sentence I never got to finish. I still passed their neighborhood every now and then. Once or twice a month, maybe. And every time I did, I'd glance at that old porch. Not with longing. Not with anger. Just neutrality. The kind of feeling you get when you pass your old middle school and remember how weird everyone smelled in gym class. Sometimes Kyle would joke and say, "You should mail them a framed photo of your degree. Or like a receipt from your first tax refund." I'd laugh. "Maybe I'll print a custom Olive Garden gift card. For emotional damages." Oof. Too real. Unlimited breadsticks. Limited parenting. You really should trademark that. One night, Melissa asked, "If they actually apologized, like really apologized, would you go back?" I didn't answer right away. Not because I didn't know, but because I knew too well. "You don't go back to the place that burned you," I said finally. "Even if the fire's out, the smoke still lingers." She nodded. We didn't talk about it again. That weekend I reorganized my closet. Took down the old hoodie Mom had sent in the attic box and dropped it in a donation bin. Felt kind of poetic. I wasn't erasing my childhood. Just editing the ending. The story didn't need to wrap in hugs and group therapy. Sometimes, the happy ending is just not going back. Not needing them to clap. Not shrinking to fit the table they never saved me a seat at. I had my own seat now. And better food. And when I drove, it was forward. Windows down. Music up. No detours.